Hello, everyone. It is Thursday evening. My name is Destin, Noak, the Texas Garden Guy, and this is the Garden Party. Me, 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 me. This is the Garden Party, and we want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The Garden Party. Phil, introduce yourself, brother.
What up, everyone? It's Phil, your favorite Big Daddy, plant parent, and regular parent, back on the podcast. Actually, co-hosting now. And you can probably hear the rainfall in my office space here.
Did he say?
Rain.
Did he say something
Yeah.
mean about me this time?
No, I only said, "Hey, my name's Destin, the Texas Garden Guy."
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Garden Party. I'm the Texas Garden Guy. Oh, my goodness. What if I sounded like that? Probably do. Thank you so much, as always, Phil, for coming on. And we have a couple returning guests tonight. We got Jeremy with Dirty Punk Gardening. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know where you're from, dude.
Jeremy from Ohio, Dirty Punk Gardening. It's good to be back.
Always, man. It's always a good time we got Jeremy on the podcast. And we did have Roseanne from Greenish Gardens coming on. She announced it, so I can go ahead and tell everybody. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and yesterday was her first chemo session, and she was not feeling up to it. So our thoughts and prayers go out to her and her family.
100%.
Yep, and hopefully we'll get her back on. But if you don't already, go follow Greenish Texas. Roseanne Gatta Green. She's a great woman, an awesome gardener, and I know she's a strong woman. I think she's gonna beat this, so she's gonna do just fine. But last minute sub in. I got my friend from Austin, Texas, Miss Gardening with Des. What's going on, Des?
Not much, just hanging with you guys.
Thank you
Yay.
for coming on. I literally texted Des like an hour and a half ago. I said, "Hey, can you come on?" It's last minute. And she goes, yes, because she was so much fun last time when we talked about chickens. So she's been dying to come in and talk about native plants and stuff. But I do want to cover some business before we get started, and I want to send out a formal apology. And this goes out to the Baker Creek Hobo. And I have prepared a statement.
No.
I have recently found out that some of my friends know him, and so if y'all don't know, I have said some things that may not be so nice about the Baker Creek Hobo. But I was only kidding. We've been trying to get him on the podcast, and I think maybe he heard that I call him the Baker Creek Hobo. And maybe that's why he doesn't want to come on. So I want to
You only said it like 7 times again.
I know. After this, I won't.
Goodness.
After this, I will not say it again. Okay. All right. So this is my apology letter, and I'm being sincere. All right. Dear Ryan from Baker Creek Seeds, aka the Baker Creek Hobo, which will here on mention be called Ryan. I want to apologize for calling you a hobo. I didn't know what your real name was, and now I know you as Ryan from Baker Creek Seeds. I'm also sorry for making fun of your many hats and outfits, and for making fun of y'all's purple tomatoes. JK. I'm trying to keep it light. You are a mystery to all of us, Ryan. Please come on the Garden Party podcast sometime and let us get to know Ryan from Baker Creek Seeds. And as a show of, I'm sorry, I will be wearing a stupid hat for the rest of the podcast.
Did you bring your
Well
train
done.
whistle?
And so we're starting the
If
garden.
he comes on the show, I want to be on with him.
Yes. Now,
Samesies.
he puts out very, very fun, interesting content, and we only make fun because we think it's funny. I think it's funny, and people think I'm funny too. So sometimes. So I apologize, Ryan. So
Yay. Shout out to you, Ryan.
I will clip that and send it to them. Oh my god. All right, so spring is pretty much taken off. I can't wear this the whole. There's no way, dude. There's no way. I cannot do that. I can't do it. So spring is pretty much here for everybody now. Jeremy, it looks like were you sick for like a week or so, and like you kind of halted your gardening?
I was down bad with the flu for like a full week. Like I did not like my tomato plants
That's
are paying
bad.
the price for it. I mean, I couldn't do anything. But I mean, it's a combination of that and me just going way too hard this year. I did too many plants.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
probably could have kept up with them if it wasn't for the flu, but there was nothing I could do at that point.
Well, because you sell your tomato plants and stuff. You sell a lot of your
Yeah,
starts and stuff.
I made some more room, like some more space in my seed starting area this year, which I was overcrowded last year. So if I was smart, I would have just been like, okay, I'll do the same amount as last year and actually have room for them all this year. But like my brain went to like, okay, do 200 more plants. So
It's that
basically,
Parkinson's law.
I
It's
was
like,
even
oh, I have
worse
more
off.
time and space. I'm going to fill it with stuff, including
Yeah.
tomato
I've been
plants.
there.
Yeah.
Comfortably do what I did last year, or just overcrowded even more this year, which is what I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is, though.
It's never enough room, dude. Like it's just like
Never
people say
enough.
with greenhouses. Your greenhouse is never big enough. Your seed starting
Nope.
area is never big enough.
Nope.
You never have enough plants
Or chickens.
or chickens. Yeah. I'm making the decision to cut down on a couple trees. No figs. Well,
Thank
I'm
God.
getting rid of. I'm getting rid of one. I'm getting rid of one fig tree in particular. It's the Little Miss
We can
Figgy.
actually,
It's
we
because
can talk about
I
that
can't legally propagate it.
because we can talk about the cull list of our plants from last year to
Yeah.
this year
Yeah.
and what doesn't make the cut. Because
That's a good one.
or what does make the cut. I think that's a little funny. Because I think that's a big piece that I do
Yeah.
in the fig world is I'm constantly testing varieties because on the East Coast, West Coast, northern growing, southern growing, like you have different climates and figs can be a little finicky when it gets too humid. So I had to get rid of one variety and I actually ended up just moving it to a pot, but I dug up a 7-year-old tree and I stuck it in a pot and it looks awesome because I kind of bonsai'd it. I say bonsai, it's a 6-foot tree, but it couldn't even feel humidity or the fruits would just like split in half. And that was really tough.
Man.
And so like it as great a fig as it is, if it's not doing it in my climate, I have to give it the axe. And
I'm the same way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the figs like the two that didn't make it were like the Desert King and the Panache Tiger didn't make it, and so I didn't buy new ones. I only want to sell varieties here in my area that do well in my area. It makes no sense for me to
Right.
sell a fig tree that doesn't do well in my area. So I didn't rebuy them. I only do varieties that I don't bring in during the freeze. I let them tough it out, and if they don't make it, I don't sell that one again.
Right.
I got a quick question. Does anyone here have experience growing celery? I've never grown celery before.
I've never
No.
been successful. Never.
No. I'm not great at growing brassicas in general. Like brassicas and leafy greens. Like I can do some of them. Like if you do like a salad mix and like do like the chaos method, like you do, Des, where you just kind of toss a bunch of seeds out there and like harvest the microgreens or harvest the baby greens. But I've never seen anybody grow celery from seed. I have
Gardening with Tara.
Gardening with Tara?
Gardening with Tara?
Yes.
Okay.
Tara.
Okay.
I've seen her do it.
I have seen people take the cut off at the bottom and root that. I've seen they cut like the bud off, stick it in some water and let it root. And
yeah.
I've seen that.
My friend grows it here in Ohio, and it's always seemed to do really well. I don't like celery enough to grow it. I definitely don't eat enough celery to grow.
Well, it's like it takes more calories to eat it than it gives back to you.
Hey, now, if you're into gumbo, celery is where it's at. You got to add the celery. Like there are certain applications for celery. Chicken noodle soup. I think it's
that's true.
Celery.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well,
more than just ants on a log.
Yeah. Well, I started watching that
delicious.
Good Mythical whatever they try like every flavor of something, and they went through and did every flavor of like Campbell's soup, and like I didn't know like there was like cream of like celery and cream of like every cream you can think of, they make a cream of it. Like it's crazy, but they tried every single like 50 flavors of soup. I never knew that.
I don't know about it.
I don't know.
I feel like Campbell's soups have been like they are strictly designed for casseroles, like all the creams. Like they are casserole fascia. They hold it together.
Yeah.
I'm a
Totally.
I'm a cream of mushroom guy. I like cream of mushroom. That's my go-to.
Cream of mushroom is a great base for many a casserole.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, absolutely. Um, so speaking of gumbo, Jeremy, are you going to try to grow some okra up there in Ohio?
Not this year. I mean, I'm too late this year.
No, you're
Um,
not. I'll send you some seeds right now. I'll put you some seeds in the mail right now.
I think it's too late.
No, no, you're fine. As long yeah, they grow pretty quick. Okra grows super fast, man.
Like after when I was on last time, we were talking about it. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. But I was planning on doing it next year. I didn't think I would have any chance of being able to do it this year. I don't know. I
Are
mean, if you
we?
think I can,
How long of
I
a
think
growing zone? I mean, how long of a growing window do you have?
you know, I mean, it depends. It's weird. Like last year, I grew in the September,
Oh yeah,
which
you're
is
good.
like unheard of.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just don't know anymore. Like we generally, I mean, by Halloween, everything's done.
Oh, you
Yeah,
got plenty of time for okra. It actually likes to be direct sowed too.
yeah. I've done the transplants before, and it's always better just to direct seed them. They have such
Hmm.
same thing with like cucumbers and squash.
cucumbers?
I like
Yeah.
to direct seed them.
Yeah. There are like certain things that I refuse to buy as a transplant these days, and cucumbers and squash really. No, thank you. I'll just
They do
skip a seed.
not like it at all.
I've seen
I've
Bonnie
killed
sell
like
like
20.
radish starts. They sell like radish starts and stuff like that, like or beet starts. Like that's
No.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they grow so fast.
Yeah,
Right.
Mm-mm.
it's so
That's like a
wild.
good. I bet you that's like a good like intro for gardeners because you can plant it and then 2 3 weeks later you're like, oh my gosh, and you're like, okay, instant
Yeah,
gratification, as
Yeah.
instant as probably fruit stuff food stuff gets.
yeah. I mean, I guess you could eat the greens too. Like almost everything you grow, like it's a root vegetable, you can eat the green most of it, besides
I
potatoes.
love beet
Yeah.
greens.
Don't eat potato
Hmm.
greens.
Pea greens
Yeah.
are
No,
good. I
those are
mean,
not. You can't.
radish
Nightshade.
greens. I mean, everybody says you can eat the greens on everything, but I mean, should you really? Like,
No. Well, I mean,
there's
like
a lot of it. Everybody's like, oh, they're so good. But no, they're not. Like
radish green.
radish greens, they're not good.
Yeah, I see. I like the radish greens. When I pull a radish
I
out and
know.
I eat the whole
I,
thing, man. I like it.
like, wait. Like
And
when it's
they're always
young.
like they always have so much bug damage too. Bugs love the radish greens.
Yeah, that's
Mine are
true.
mine are always full of holes.
Yeah.
See, I plant radishes like in early spring, like whenever
They're a
my
great trap crop.
yeah, like with
Hmm.
with my brassicas are finally finishing off, like my cabbage and stuff. Right
Yeah.
for like right after our last freeze, I'll put some radish seeds down, and they just like within 6 weeks I'm pulling radishes up. It's pretty quick. And I pick them up, I pull them up pretty small. Like I'm not doing
Yeah.
daikons or the big icicle ones. I'm doing like your French breakfast radishes, and the leaves are pretty tender.
Yeah. Some of them are spiky. You can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
Not for me.
right. No, they're definitely not the best part of the root. They're definitely not the best part of it.
Well, Jeremy, you're like a whole different growing world being in Ohio compared to Texas too. So you
Yeah,
can get away
I
with
got it.
stuff.
You guys got a longer season, but I got it easier. Like I don't
Right.
have
Yeah.
to deal with that long, intense, dry heat. So,
Because
I
I
mean, the
grew up in
worst that
Lancaster,
happens here is we just get too
Pennsylvania.
much rain.
Yeah.
And
And like you can just get
you're a
away
root
growing
man
greens
too.
and stuff.
Yeah, and
But
you're
yeah, I
definitely
mean,
go ahead.
yeah, I can grow pretty much like some things like growing carrots and lettuce and stuff in the dead of summer like doesn't work out very well, but generally everything does pretty well throughout the year. Great, I mean,
Yeah.
perfect environment for growing peppers here. Perfect environment.
Oh man, that's awesome.
My
Speaking of
nostrils
Yeah.
always
peppers,
thrive.
I went 9 for 10 on overwintering my peppers.
I
And as soon as they woke up, they started pumping out peppers. So I'm ripping them off because I want to make sure that they grow into bigger shrubs again. But I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. But
I
I
went
also,
1 for 8.
I got one. Was it the pepper
I
you
for
wanted? Was it like the huge, like a nice big bell pepper, or was it like
No,
some?
it was a jalapeno, like the one I was least interested in. But is what it is. I
I
would
had
And
the
try.
was
I had the
I go
worst
with
germination rate with peppers this year.
the method of cutting them down to like sticks and just
Mhm.
kind
Yeah.
of leaving them dormant, which I've done for the last 2 years, and it just isn't working out for me. So next year I'm gonna keep some leaves on it and just kind of put it in the cold basement, just enough light to keep it happy. Just kind of keep the growth to a minimum and see if I can do them that way.
And,
If not,
and
I'm done. I've give up.
as a general rule, you shouldn't remove more than 1/3 of the plant at a time to keep the plant going, even if you're overwintering it. Like you may need to prune it more than one time, but more than that, and the root system will just be like, well, what do I have to live for anymore?
There you go.
Hey,
Look
Now
at
look
that.
at that thing. That looks like a great house plant.
Yeah,
Right?
but
I
I
know.
I cut this down. It was just sticks. There were no leaves or anything. And then this one just
Amazing.
came right back, and the rest of them didn't do anything.
Oh,
Wow.
disappointing.
I don't know.
So I grow most of my peppers in 3-gallon pots so that in the wintertime I can just go ahead and stick them in the greenhouse and not have to worry about transplant shock, but I do cut them back. But I only do that for like my super spicy ones that take forever to grow. My jalapenos and serranos, I put them in the raised beds. And just like my super hot ones that take forever, like your habaneros, your ghost peppers, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was hoping for the habaneros because I don't get those till the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's always the ones that I want most, but not the jalapenos.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question here, and this may be a good question for Des, since she's a master gardener and a native plant person. So I don't know if this person is from the Texas, Houston area, or whatever. They're asking, what flowers do you like to plant around your garden? What are your favorite ones to plant? This can go on for a while.
Yeah, it can actually. But in my vegetable garden in particular, a flower I really like to plant is zinnias because they attract butterflies, but also the bees will visit. And they're super prolific. The more you cut them, the more zinnias you have. But I also plant marigolds prolifically within my garden as a trap plant for pests. And I leave some of my basil to flower in the garden because it attracts an enormous amount of bees.
Oh yeah.
And that helps to keep my tomato plants pollinated. But beyond that, I have tons of native and adapted flowers and things that are adjacent, vegetable garden adjacent, that are fantastic for bringing in the pollinators too. There's lots of really great native and adapted, drought tolerant, continuously flowering plants for us here.
I would say in the Texas area, like zinnias are amazing. They'll reseed themselves. They'll come back in the spring every year. Maybe don't put them in a raised bed unless you want them to take over a raised bed.
I don't mind,
because they can. They can definitely take over a raised bed. One thing
I like them in there.
I'm growing more sages this year. I'm definitely doing more sages. I posted a picture of my indigo spire. That's doing amazing. And I was at Jimbo's nursery last weekend. And she says that the perennials, they'll come back in zone 9B at least. They'll come back every year.
Yes, indigo spires are a great sage plant to plant in Texas for sure. I have it planted in my garden. I've got lots of it. And mealy blue sage is a really good one as well.
I've seen that one as well. This person's actually from Indiana. So, Jessica, I would say talk to your local ag extension and find your native plants. Like go with natives first, and then I would recommend find out what butterflies are in your area or what and go for those host plants as well.
Yes,
because you have like passion vines and everything at your place, right? They're huge.
Oh, yeah, me, yeah.
You almost cussed. It.
No, I didn't. No, really, they're crazy. Listen, when I was a baby gardener, I planted a Passiflora incarnata passion vine. It has taken over my whole life. And my neighbor's house, he's got them popping up in the lawn. I'm always over there pulling them up. Don't be like me. Be smarter than me. But I have passion vines everywhere, and they're covered in Gulf fritillary butterflies. I have 2 different varieties. I have a variegated one and the regular standard orange guy. And I have the cocoons all over the place.
I saw your video where you were going around hunting them, looking for them. They're everywhere.
That's not that's just a fraction of the places that they exist in my yard right now. They're everywhere. They're on every entryway. They're just the chrysalis are all over the place. And then I'm picking up the caterpillars from the walkway all the time and putting them back on a plant or putting them on the wall so they can become a butterfly. I raised four different kinds of butterfly in the backyard. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
That's really
I
cool.
love it. It's like my favorite thing. I just learned some really cool stuff about native bees too that just really, it blew my mind. It made me so passionately excited about gardening.
Do tell.
So like in particular, like some native, well, first of all, a native bee can do the work of 300 invasive European honeybees, which is
Yes.
so cool.
Well, hold on, we don't still use the word invasive. We don't use the word invasive on this podcast.
Hey now, you have to be honest though. That is an actual thing.
It's a derogatory term. It's a slander.
It's not. There is a difference between invasive and invasive. Now, come on. I'm not gonna school you here, but
Invasive and invasive. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is important to make. I love the honeybee too. Don't get me wrong. I kept them. Remember, I would love to keep them still, but my dog is allergic. But native bees are extremely vitally important, and your yard could be their entire universe. Some of them they live their entire life within 5 yards of the place that they hatch.
Yep.
So if you start to make spaces in your yard, healthy spaces for these native pollinators, they'll continue to live out their life cycle in your yard. They'll continue to pollinate your plants, and you're doing a micro climate for them that's helping to support the environment at large. Because the more of them, the more they might migrate to your neighbor's yard and then to the next neighbor's yard. And so they're really cool. They're cool little friends.
Well, it's like I heard about bees and like the native bees, like the native bumblebees here in the United States, like they don't have those nifty pouches that the European bees have. And so the European bees actually like hoard a lot of pollen, where our native bees just kind of belly flop on all the flowers and just roll around.
Yeah, because they're covered in all these hairs.
They make more trips. They make more trips.
Yeah.
And so they have to like figure it out a lot. And they just like they're way more laissez-faire about it, but they transfer pollen way better. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like rolling in the honey.
Like their necessity style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honeybees are the least useful pollinator in my garden.
Yeah.
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 Wasps are 100 times better.
I love wasps.
Oh.
Me too. I'm about them. I used to like not be about wasps, but I
Let me tell you something about wasps that sounds ridiculous, but I swear it's true. People complain about wasps because they're always like dive bombing them and attacking them, and so if you put water out for them, that will stop.
Yeah, they don't care.
Really?
The reason they're coming after you is because they want, if you got a beverage, they want it. If you give them water and just let them do their thing, they will leave you alone. I have no problems with the wasps in my garden.
Wow.
He's right.
Really?
Honestly. I provide so many water sources for that reason.
The only problem I have with the wasps, and I've told this story before, I don't know if I told it on the podcast, but I was live on TikTok one morning and I was over by my dill plants and they were covered in caterpillars. I think they were dill, so it'd be black swallowtail or tiger swallowtail or whatever. And there was a ton of them on there. And I was watching them, I was doing the video live, and then all of a sudden this wasp just comes out of nowhere and like savagely like stabs and guts this caterpillar like on my live, and like
that is a thing.
They don't stop until they kill every single caterpillar, and it's happening while I'm live on TikTok, and it's like a bloodbath, dude. Like they kill every
they carry
single
them away.
They gut them and then they gut them so they're lighter and they carry them off. It's brutal, dude. It's brutal to watch, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
but
God.
I have a new tactic this year.
The hornworms and stuff. Yeah.
They're also killing the hornworms. They're also killing the cabbage worms, all that stuff too.
So they eat everything.
Kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, yeah. I don't go after them anymore. I don't if I see a nest, I like kind of they don't make nests where it's like easily accessible to me. Like it's never
not like hornets or like a useless
the ground
nuisance.
Burrowing.
Yeah. Oh, those hornets will get you.
The hornets will build the big nests in my shed all the time. I never have an issue with a wasp nest anywhere.
No, they probably do way more good than anything. Let's see. Oh, Jeremy, I believe your wife gifted us 99 coins on Facebook.
Whoa!
I didn't know you could gift coins on Facebook.
You can.
Is that crypto?
Yes. I think
is that blockchain? It's blockchain.
Some kind of Facebook coin. Thank you very much, Miss Troski, very much. My kids have gotten used to the wasps joining them in the pool to get water, they know they'll fly off after a drink.
Ta-da.
Wow.
Jolene Kissin Jackson, they parasitize them and make them. Oh, the parasitic wasps. Those are
The
cool.
parasitic
yeah.
wasps.
Those
I
are
saw
That's when
that in
you
my
see
garden last
when
year.
you see the hornworms with the white cocoons down their backs.
yeah.
I saw that for
That's
the
the
first time last year.
And they're smaller. They're much smaller
It
than
was
like a
so
regular.
cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
Those
know
things
what's in
are.
the parasitic wasp family? Is the fig wasp.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I
It's in
love
the
it.
family, but it is unique just to the fig tree, and they reside in the capra fig of the male fig.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful little fig. It's like pretty like
Oh,
that. Like
speaking of
that.
Oh,
figs,
yeah.
how is the electroculture fig experiment going?
So
Oh,
dude,
I was expecting to be able to see it from my house in Ohio by now.
oh my god, dude. So I have gotten so much crap on that video, dude, because
Dude, the
here's
comments are going to be ridiculous.
so I got so, see here I go. I'm about to make fun of someone else that I was trying to get on the podcast.
Don't make fun.
I'm not making fun of everybody. What makes America the greatest country in the world is that everybody can have their own opinion and say what they want to say and believe what they want to believe. But I watched a video of a guy, and his page is called Cultivate Elevate. He believes that Wi-Fi is like rotting our brains. That wearing sunglasses is bad. That we should have. He posted a video said we should have been staring into the sun without the glasses. Oh, I swear I'm not making this up. So I watched a video, an interview that he was talking about. I guess he lives in an apartment complex somewhere, like on the third or fourth balcony, and he grows his garden up there, and he believes in the power of electroculture, and he puts the rods into like a pot on like the fourth floor of his balcony, and he says it works. I will share the link of where he says it. Yeah, he does.
I gotta see this.
Oh, I'll send you the link. I have receipts. I did not make this up. So
I've seen quite
yeah.
a few people talk about electroculture actually, and I have not used it.
The guy
I have not.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
guy
going to diss it if I haven't tried it.
Right, and that's my opinion. I was like, dude, okay, I've been making fun of this for
I
so
will.
long. I was like, well, then I'm going to do exactly what this guy tells me to do. And you do. I did the video exactly how he said it. The problem with it is everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
Everybody does it differently. So no matter what you do, you didn't do it the right way. That's the fact of the matter. It's called grounded because it's supposed to be grounded in the ground. Or
Yeah, but that's my question. How does he get it grounded if he's on the fourth floor of his apartment complex? Like, you're not tied.
It doesn't matter. It's not working. It doesn't do anything. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter.
Now you're talking to a scientist who needs to know, like, the methods section of this.
Grounded,
and I
like
need
in the dirt.
Dude,
right. The grounded
yes.
needs to be associated with like the ambient earth, like right on the ground below.
No,
like,
I get it.
You get it. No, I'm just venting, I guess.
The dude lost me at crystals. He started talking about crystals after that and saying that like you need to add certain crystals. You need to hang certain crystals in your garden so that different spectrums of UV light hit the crystal at different angles and expose your plants and you to different spectrums.
Well, there is a spectrum of lights, but that's all. Like, you get the visible light spectrum.
The sun has all of the spectrum
That's what I'm
of light
saying,
within
dude.
it already.
He says so many things that have some basis in science that it tricks people. The problem is never be sold on someone who sells things because he sells supplements like pearl powder. He sells ground up pearl powder and it's supposed to like rejuvenate your eyesight. Oh, dude, I want to get him on the podcast so bad.
Can't we just stick to carrots?
Yeah, dude. Cultivate Elevate. If y'all don't believe me, go follow Cultivate Elevate. He does a daily show. I will probably be on that show tomorrow. Or he'll probably clip us. Yeah. So.
Oh no.
But yeah, so how is the project going? I'm going to do this project for an entire year. I will do it an entire year until all the figs are dead. 2 of them have already died, but we was one with a pole and one without a pole. I'm not going to touch them. I'm going to leave them and see what happens. So I'm just
Don't be killing the figs, man. They didn't do anything.
I will do a monthly update every month. I will do a monthly update video on every single fig, and I'm not going to fertilize them. I'm going to water them all the same. They're all going to get the same amount of sunlight. It's such BS, dude. But the comment section is hilarious, though, dude. The comment section is nuts in that video. It is so bizarre.
Yeah,
do you get the whole gambit?
Yes.
I've always had feelings on the electroculture stuff, but I've never said anything about it because I just didn't want to deal with the comments.
Well, I hope it works.
Everybody has their own special way of gardening.
Yeah. I hope it works.
And no one method is 100% right.
Like here's the thing. We also like this is why we don't drink distilled water in our bodies is because we need to have we need to be like negatively ionized so we can our ion exchange can work in our cellular development and growth, right? And plants have to have that too. So I understand there needs to be some sort of ionization in the soil, and rather be just completely neutral. And that's a nerdy thing to say, but this might contribute.
Stuff.
Yeah, good. And then I think most of us do. And I can see where the logic would come to be able to kind of introduce some sort of electromagnetic thing to pull nutrients into the soil to make bioavailability happen for nutrients, but I don't know there could be any sort of consistency with these applications.
But if the goal is right, okay, so with electroculture, sorry, now we're going down a rabbit hole.
I screenshotted some comments. I'll pull them up. Go ahead, keep going.
So with electroculture, right? Okay, so is the idea to pull nitrogen from the atmosphere into the soil, kind of like the way that it does with thunderstorms?
You're pulling electrons.
I think where it came from. Where it came from was, I think, people observing that, after a lightning storm, they'll notice, you're going to growth spurt on your plants because that lightning is providing nitrogen to your plants.
Yeah.
So I think people kind of ran with that idea that this electricity somehow, by trying to, because I think the original electroculture experiments they were actually providing a charge. Not just putting a grounding rod in the garden bed, but actually
that makes more sense to provide a charge.
Putting a charge
because nitrogen's an atom, and then you're your ions. That's a loose electron, so that can float around. And that's where
I think it came from some ideas of observing the electricity kind of, and then somehow it just got down to putting a copper wire in your garden.
Yeah, I got some of my favorite comments I'll read to y'all. It's more than just a stick and copper in the ground. If you read up on it, it takes years for it to do its thing and amend the soil. So the copper is amending the soil. I don't think you're getting an accurate result with soils that are already amended. So that's one thing. And I have heard an argument that copper in the soil is supposed to be beneficial or something like that. So that's one thing. Also, the sticks should be from your own yard to be on your frequency, and they work for about 5 feet, around, a circumference. So if you want to compare them, set them further apart. I did last year double growth compared to what? I love doing electroculture, lots of variables, but I have found a major reduction in pests and higher yields. I'm a believer and will keep running it to the end. And as you should, if it works for you, do it. That's
absolutely.
So this was a good one. Man, so many cranky people. If it works, yay. I had a dead fig tree that I wrapped in copper. It came back, but it took a full year. The one that I didn't wrap that died at the same time didn't come back. There are plenty of non-biased experiments with this on YouTube to watch. I hope this one, as we say in the not so delicate Deep South, don't twist your britches too much.
That's a very tasteful way to say that. That's nice.
Okay, one more. The internet back with some wild stuff. I'm interested in this for science, but I got my doubts. I can see that the copper rod may leach a few copper atoms into the soil more than there is naturally, and the plant absorbs the mineral. Additionally, if there is an overtime thing, then yes, naturally the soil would accumulate various beneficial minerals and fertilizers from rain, bugs, etc. Also, the wooden dowel with the clockwise wire may allow for the soil to not settle completely, allowing for more air to reach the soil below. due to the vibration of the middle, hence the top of the copper sticking out so it can catch wind to make it vibrate.
You know,
Everybody's
if it
entitled to their own
works
opinion.
for them,
Absolutely.
that's great.
I hope it works for you.
Yeah.
But you know what else works? Fertilizer.
Yeah.
And rainfall.
And rain.
Thunderstorms.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like there's nothing wrong with like, because and it's another thing, like the people that were all like putting banana peels in water and then watering their
that's not a
plant,
good
like
idea.
it doesn't do anything.
That's going to bring the fungus gnats.
It's not going to do it.
It's
like,
not doing what you think it's going to do.
No.
I think it's okay to like call that kind of stuff out. Like, there's nothing to back up that actually does it. But people will tell you that putting banana peels in water and watering their plants with it made them grow like crazy, but it didn't. We know it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it does nothing. It does nothing.
It just reminded them to water their plants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if
and anything you pour more care into is going to do a little better.
Yeah, I think that
something's
too.
not breaking
Positive
those
vibes.
banana peels down.
Yeah.
Like the nutrients are not just leaching into the water.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
Put it in your compost and then add the compost to your garden.
Hey,
Yeah, it's got to be composted.
Hey, Des, who's Debbie?
That's my mother-in-law.
Oh, I thought. Okay.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie. I was like,
Hi.
it said Lindsley, and I was like, is that your last? Is it? That's gotta be. I thought it was your mom, but obviously you're married. I can see. Someone says they've got a 4-year-old propagated Panache tiger, the yellow and the striped one. I want one so bad. I want to try it again, Phil. I loved it so much. It was really tasty.
Let's get you one. I got 2. There actually are a lot of variegated figs out there. I have about 7. And some I have one that goes from that green and yellow stripe and it turns into a red and purple stripe. And it's really beautiful.
Wow.
Bordeaux, Negro Ramada, and same with Martinique Ramada.
Nice.
Tag me over there so I can see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
This would be a good question since we all grow tomatoes. Should I put only one tomato seedling in a pot, or can I grow multiple? Like, what are y'all spacing? Like, how do y'all space your tomatoes? Like, what's y'all's reference point?
This is a deep question they just
I put
asked.
my determinate ones closer together, and then
Yeah.
I put my indeterminate ones further apart.
Mm-hmm.
That was just me like winging it a little bit.
Yeah.
But and I'm like, oh, I'm running out of space and I have more tomatoes, so I started to push the boundary a little bit.
There's always room for more.
Yeah.
I think crowding tomatoes is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You really need that airflow.
Okay.
You're risking a lot of disease if you have more, especially in a pot. Like I mean, it's just going to be so much foliage. And
It's a lot of. You would have to prune a lot of the lower leaves, and then you can risk not getting
I mean,
fruit.
you'd have to prune all the way up. Clear out a lot of foliage all through the whole thing. So I wouldn't recommend doing it, unless he said if it's a small determinant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I planted some indeterminates in the back, and I put some determinates in the front, so that by the time the indeterminates are starting to get huge, I'm pulling those determinates up to give them more space.
So I pruned my indeterminate tomatoes. I pruned them up so high I could probably grow determinate tomatoes underneath them.
Yeah, I'm a heavy pruner.
I'm like,
cool.
I pruned mine super high. They look like trees. People are always like, "What are you doing?" I mean, it works for me.
No, I get it. But they did ask, wasn't the question, can you put more than one seed in just a pot? Like, are you starting it from seed?
She said seedling.
Oh, okay.
No, so she's transplanting, yeah.
Let me tell you from my lived experience of me messing up. Okay. I love to plant things closely together. At one point, for a couple of years, I planted 56 feet of tomatoes in my garden.
Good Lord.
And I would, even my indeterminate tomatoes, I was Florida weeding them, but I would have 3 or 4 in a row, companion planted beds. And you know what happened to me? I ended up having so many mealybugs, and I am still battling these things. And it's because you cannot keep your eyes on that many plants. And having them that close together, crowded out, will only add opportunities for disease and pests to transfer between plants, because you're just giving them a bridge from one leaf to the next. They're just going to keep going along, and they will multiply for as many plants as you have. So I will not do that anymore. My new approach this year is that I spaced out my tomato plants a lot. I grew a lot less of them. And because we're in Texas and it's really, really hot right now, or it has been the last couple of years, I have my round 2 tomatoes that I will plant in the garden in late June. They should be about that tall. And then I'll have those through August. And then I'll have more that I start when I plant those that I'll plant in the fall. So then I'm still getting the different types of tomatoes I want, and I'm taking advantage of our long growing season, and I'm not making it where I can't see these pests, so I can be reactive. Like I don't want to just have to be reactive. I want to be actively involved in what's going on out there before it becomes a big problem. Anyway, sorry, that was my little tirade on that.
Oh,
but
you're good.
I'm just saying, like, that's a really important thing that I, as a young gardener, I did not think about those things. I didn't even really know or deeply understand them until I was so overrun that I'm still dealing with them. And the mealybugs are now systemic in my garden. Yeah. And it's been heartbreaking.
And she won't use insecticides.
No, I won't, actually.
I don't either.
I won't.
Yeah,
I refuse. I would rather trim away the pest-affected plant material, or throw it away or solarize it in a trash bag than I would spray any pyrethrins or anything like that could harm any other like bee or beneficial insect that I have in the garden. And if you are really working with your integrated pest management and you're on top of your plants, you shouldn't have to worry about it too much.
I didn't even use DE
that's
last
my
year.
2 cents. You didn't what?
I didn't even use DE last. Diatomaceous earth was the only thing I would use, but I didn't even use that last year.
I put a tiny ring around the base of the plant I want to protect, and that's it.
And I did fine. I did fine without anything. So,
I just can't do it.
I've never seen any good results. Yeah.
I will say this. One last thing I want to say about Destin and these pyrethrins and these insecticides. Okay, listen. Do you like fireflies? Do you like them?
I love them.
Sure. All right. Well, that stuff seeps down into our ground, like our dirt and our soil and our lawns. And that is where the firefly larvae live until they come up and start blinking, looking for their mate. And so those runoffs from our practices in our garden can actually be impacting these magical fireflies that we have. So I'm just being careful. I don't want to mess anything up.
I never had
so many fireflies.
I never had any fireflies before I started using neem oil.
Oh, at nighttime, my whole garden is just lit up.
Yeah, I love them. I love fireflies. I'm like about saving their habitat.
We don't actually have them here on the coast. You have to go inland to get them for us.
Yeah, that's kind of us too.
You guys do 2 rounds of tomatoes in Texas?
Sometimes 3.
I can.
I'm doing 3.
Do you start seeds for your second round, or do you just like clone a sucker?
That's an option.
I actually started seeds.
Because I was thinking, because I see people, like, I wish I had that opportunity, just like grow a big sucker up on your tomato plants, root it real quick, and then plant it. I think that would be awesome to be able to do that. Have y'all brand new plant going?
Have y'all had good success doing sucker cloning?
Oh, it's so easy. I can't do it because you just break it off. You can just stick it right in the dirt. You don't even have to root it in water. They'll just start growing.
If you're not in a super hot zone and your soil's not dry,
that's me.
We can't do that here.
Yeah,
you got to keep the soil saturated until it roots. But yeah, you can just plug them right in the ground.
Yeah, see, they always wilt so bad and almost like rot for me. But I'd like to try it again. I got like so many.
But try putting them in a pot or rooting them in water first.
Maybe I'll try that. I did that video this past week where I'm trying this new tactic where I'm doing micro reels, where I'm taking like a 7 to 15 second clip from one of my videos and using it as a reel, and it's been working really nicely. And one of them was
on Facebook,
everywhere on Instagram, Facebook. But what I found is people always say, like, when I prune my tomatoes, why don't you clone it? Why don't you propagate it? I'm like, dude, I already got more tomatoes than I know what to do with. Like, why am I cloning? Yeah. But in the middle of summer when stuff start dying out, but by then usually I'm sick of tomatoes. I'm ready to plant like some.
I'm never sick. I'm never sick of them. I've never even. I don't even know what you mean.
Usually I'm elbows deep in figs and squash and cucumbers by then.
Oh, I can't wait to eat fresh fig, dude. I'm so stoked. Oh man.
Des, do you have any figs at your house, Des?
I don't. I did, but then I killed that plant.
It's impossible.
And
How do you
then
kill
I
it?
didn't replace it.
You just need a
Well,
copper rod this time.
yeah.
Or some crystals.
Oh, actually, I like crystals. I have a lot of them, but I don't put
I'm a
them in the garden.
geologist, so I have black opal right here in my pocket. It's
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
rad.
You know what? I
Why?
carry around
He's
crystals
just carrying rocks around.
Because I'm a geologist, I think this stuff's rad. That's
You
why.
are
I
full
do
on
too.
Randy
I
Marsh.
have a
Randy
huge
Marsh.
collection. I have a huge collection of crystals. I believe that they are stored energy from the earth, man. They literally grow in darkness where we can't see them under extreme pressure, which is really cool.
That's
So,
very true
Well, I
too.
mean,
A lot of these heavy mineral complexes are formed on subduction zones.
oh my god. So we're split on the crystals. Then it sounds like. Sounds like we're split on the crystals. My wife was laughing because we watched The Hills, and that dude Spencer Pratt he's like they call him the hummingbird dude. At his house in California, he's got hummingbirds everywhere,
Oh,
and he always
Yeah.
has these giant crystals on a necklace. And Ashley's like, "You need to get you some crystals," and I bet the hummingbirds will
he
come
sells
to you.
those. He
I
makes
know.
them himself.
How
I
does
saw
he?
that on
How
the
does he
internet.
make the crystals? How does he make the crystals?
Well, he doesn't make that part, but he turns them into jewelry.
Oh, okay. So what kind of alchemy is this? Making crystals?
He
yeah. I
has
was going to say he probably
multi-million-dollar laser.
he goes out there and just throws dynamite in the hillside, pulls out some giant amethyst, and then calls
my
it good.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not against crystals. Crystals are cool. I think crystals are cool. My wife just won't let me have them. I got the rock salt lamps, but that's about it.
You have
I
to think about a lot of these rocks break down over time and become the soil that we use for our plants.
Yeah.
Listen to him dropping the science.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, so there's a company here in Texas called Azimite, and they make trace minerals. And people would always ask me, like, what, do you use Azimite? Do you use Azimite? And I told them no. I was like, I don't even know what trace minerals are. Do you know what trace minerals are? And everybody would be like, no. And someone actually explained to me what trace minerals were, and it finally clicked. Because I guess like whenever we're spraying fertilizer, those are micronutrients, right?
Mm-hmm.
The trace minerals are macronutrients, and you have to have the macronutrients to absorb the micronutrients, right? Is that how it works with that?
I don't know as far as the biology of absorbing them, but
that's how it was kind of explained to me. You're a master gardener, Diz.
I've been in some really intense soil classes, and I can't even really fully
understand what they
explain that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, I mean, I've had some really intensive dirt training. Dirt is the stuff that comes in on your shoe. Soil is the stuff in your garden beds. And there are trace minerals in good soil. Do I know what all of that is or the minutia of it? No. I don't, but I do have the book, Soil Science for Gardeners. And if you don't have it, you should read it. It's so good.
I already got too many books to read.
you have because you think about soils, right? Think about clays. So clays come from like feldspar minerals, right? So that's like your potassium feldspar and your sodium feldspars, right? So that's all originated in igneous solidification of rock. And then that breaks down. You have like over time, you have different aspects of breaking down. You have diagenesis, which means it just turns into a different type of composition, and then you actually like degradation of the material as it breaks down in a stable surface environment. You have your quartz, which is a big part of granite. Quartz is all your silicates, right? So silicates make it into the soil. Also part of those feldspar minerals, you have things like lithium, right? There's like lithium-rich granite in andesite is what they use for lithium batteries, but it's called pegmatite. So you have all these like
reminding the heck out of it.
reminding that guy, yeah. So all this stuff breaks down over time and eventually can become soil, which actually can become sedimentary rock, and so that's where you get your sandstones and your limestones from, right?
Yes.
And like that's what
big words.
ready for like limestone is like oyster shells, calcium carbonate, right? So that's your calcium, your carbon, and that dolomitic garden lime is actually there's a magnesium placement in there is a chemical reaction where magnesium replaces some of the calcium, and so magnesium gets into your garden line that way.
This is
Epsom,
Destin's mind right now.
Dude,
yeah,
you're using so
Epsom
many
salts
good
also
words.
have
Blown.
magnesium.
Dude.
So I went on a little like binge of like,
Hold on.
you know,
Hold on.
Listen,
Hold on. Let me put on my dummy hat real quick and absorb some of this knowledge.
I'm
You know,
literally gonna mail Soil Science for Gardeners to Destin.
I got Amazon. I don't need that. I'm good.
You need to read it. It's so good. I highly
there's
recommend that
there's
book.
beautiful concepts of this in California. They have the same grape on the vineyard. There's 3 different outcrops of geology, and so the soil is
Ooh.
different in 3 different places. They grow the same vine on those 3 different parts of the land, and that's called terroir, right? And you're going to get a different flavor profile in all 3 of those. And I mean, that plays a role in any sort of food too. So
Yes.
things like that.
So interesting. It's like that stuff is like the thing I love so much about gardening. I love taking deep dives in the way things work. I don't
Yeah,
talk about it a lot on my channel because I don't feel like I can, I'm very eloquent about it, or I like get worried about being like completely wrong and somebody being like, that's not the right thing.
I know that's
But
tough
me
too. Like that,
personally, I'll just sit here. I'll take a botany book on vacation. I'll just be
that's awesome.
I
I've
can't
got
help myself.
I've got to
Well, you
start
gotta
getting
think.
dumber guess.
No,
No.
Right here.
but like soil pH is another big thing, right?
Neither
Cheers,
of you are
Jeremy.
dumb.
Neither of you guys are both brilliant. I've learned so much from you guys. So,
Yeah.
this is just me being like, this is where the stuff comes from, and then me being like, also I killed 10 plants today.
Oh my god. No, dude,
I-
if you don't kill a plant, you're not trying hard enough. You know.
I just need my
habit-
kill death spread.
Some people are very technical in what they do with their soil and everything
I'm a
like that.
hands guy. I'm a hands-on.
And that's
guy.
respectable. Like, but that's just not me. That's not how I do things. Like, I put compost in my beds and we're good to go.
Well, one of
Perfect.
the biggest this is the last thing I'll say on this, but one of the biggest lessons I learned about soil in general is it's incredibly difficult to amend soil on a large scale.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult. And I think that a lot of people don't really understand that. And they think that they can take a really bad soil or dirt, really, and amend and amend and amend it. And they'll eventually be able to end up with a vegetable garden. But that's not the case. If you have
Oh.
3 inches of dirt on top of 10 feet of limestone, you're not going to have a successful garden. You have to raise higher. You need a raised bed.
Have y'all seen that Easy Seed stuff? They spray grass out of that hose, and it grows on top of a cinder block. I'm pretty sure you can grow. You've seen that?
No.
You've seen
Listen,
that
have
I
you
think
infomercial?
she's talking
ever
about like
chia
I think she's talking about the
chia
long-term goals. Like that'll grow for 3 months and then die.
Right. And this is one thing where I finally decided that I had to do raised bed gardening in my backyard because I am on Blackland Prairie here in Austin, but I still have a lot of clay in my soil and it was forcing my root vegetables out of the ground. And one thing about gardening in clay soil, a lot of people will dig a big hole and then they'll amend that hole with new garden soil, but that doesn't change the fact that that new garden soil is surrounded by that clay soil and you're making a bowl of water mixed with plant roots and dirt.
You're gonna rot
so
your
you're
plant.
you're not necessarily going to get a successful plant out of that either. So you can try and throw like compost and all the things on it, but at the end of the day, unless you can raise the level of your soil, you can't really amend a like large area.
Yeah, I had a lady show up to
Hugelkultur is good for that.
I had a lady show up to the garden class last week, and she showed me pictures of her beds and stuff, and she was like, the soil is draining just really, really fast. It's just draining really fast. And I go, good. I would rather have a bed that drains really quick than a bed that holds a ton of water. I was like, you can always water more. You can always add wood chips or whatever and make it hold a little bit more water. But if you got a bed that's all clay and it's holding water too much, that's the worst thing you can have.
You want a good balance, though. You don't want it to be too sandy.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, if it's draining fast, just mulch.
Yeah,
you know,
add a little more organic material in that.
Right, and that's what I told her. I was like, I would rather have it draining faster than like holding water like a clay pond. You know, around here around in my
Yeah.
subdivision, you dig a hole, you plant a tree, you water it, you come out the next day, the water's still there, sitting right
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
It's called clay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Jeremy's just like me, because Jeremy's wife said, I keep buying soil kits from the library for Jeremy, and he never uses them. I've never done a soil test or anything. I've never done
Two
any kind of.
years in a row. I went to go do it, and
I've
this
never
year I was
done
like,
one.
I was like, I'm doing it for sure. So I'm out in the greenhouse. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this, get it out of the way. I look in, there's like paperwork involved, and I'm like, nope.
I'm always buying more soil to top my beds off and top my pots off. I was like, I'm
Me
putting
too.
fresh soil in there. I don't know that I need to. I mean, I'm sure I could go out and test my soil.
I mean,
In raised bed gardening, it's not as big of an issue
Yeah.
as in ground.
No,
yeah,
not
I
at
don't
all.
feel like I have
Yeah.
any problems that I need to get tested for. And if they come back and tell me it was bad, I'd just be like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna take your advice anyway. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I think it would depend. Like figs, like more of a neutral soil, so that you're hitting that 6 mark and going up, and then you have blueberries, and blueberries are huge around here, but we have a lot of like there's a mix of sandy areas and there's a mix of like boggy, acidic soil
Mm-hmm.
areas here, and
That's where the
so
blueberries like to be.
that's where the
Yeah,
blueberries
if
love
you're
it
growing
there.
something very
Yeah.
specific, like
But like
focusing
not.
on one thing, I guess it would be useful.
See, on the research I was doing on figs, I was saying like they're one of those trees that does not care usually. Like they'll grow in almost everything. It's the only thing that I've seen grow in my black gumbo clay soil. Like the roots
Mhm.
don't care. Like it's just
They will
something.
grow in a wide variety of places.
It barely gets any
Preference,
sunlight. It does great.
good old
Yeah.
figs.
Yeah. Delicious.
Des killers. We're gonna have to get
Well,
I've never had
one.
one.
I also don't know where I would put it, and I don't want to
You can
have
just
to
keep it in a
babysit
pot.
another container. I have
Okay,
so
fine.
many containers.
Oh. Take one of those
I
hip.
don't want to babysit.
Take one of them hippie beds you got all those flowers growing in, fill it with soil, and plant you a fig tree.
Start with like something
Listen,
basic, like a brown turkey. Put it next to the chicken coop. Chickens will eat it up.
Your
They'll
squirrel's
eat all
going to
the
eat them
figs that
anyway.
fall. Squirrels
I,
can eat them. Feed the ecosystem, and then you're like, oh, this is
honestly,
amazing.
listen, we'll figure it out. You guys,
No
I will
pun
let you
intended.
help me figure out where to figure
Oh,
out where to put a fig tree.
you got it.
Yeah, no, I think your house is prime for a fig tree. I think you need one because even people I
Every
tell
house is prime for a fig tree. Just ask Bill.
absolutely, yes, for sure. Yeah, I had a. We were talking about like stuff that weird people do in the garden. I had someone ask me this to just like maybe a couple hours ago. She messaged me and asked me, "Have you ever done a cracked egg when you plant your tomatoes?"
Yeah,
Like
I have.
you've done it. Like what is it? Is it like just an old wives' tale or like?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it seems gross. Like
Listen,
Well,
okay, you cannot listen. The this kills me. Okay, the idea is that the egg
they're wearing
will
that.
provide calcium for your tomato plant,
The
right?
shell.
That's what
The
the idea.
shell.
Yeah, the shell. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. It's going to take forever for the shell to break down enough unless you
Yeah.
can pulverize it, powder it into a fine dust.
Oh, she said the yolk and everything. She cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the
Yes.
yolk is got protein and stuff in it, but I don't know that it's doing anything for the soil.
Like the plant has to be able to take up the nutrients, and that's a
Yeah,
big thing.
and
Like, remember Kevin
maybe it
talked
could.
about that? Like,
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
if you want to use eggshells in your garden, just grind them into a powder and put them in your compost.
Yeah, that's right. Because you need to have it compost down first.
When you get that compost in the garden, they'll be able to benefit from it immediately. Even if you grind them up and just throw them in your garden bed, it's still going to take a while.
Yeah,
So
long
you get them
time.
in your compost, it's going to be ready to go.
I always,
General,
I was gonna say, I always tell people if you have it, like people think that when they have a blossom end rot problem, that getting calcium is going to solve it. Typically, blossom end rot happens like on the initial first couple of tomatoes, and then it usually figures its way out. A lot of fertilizers also have the calcium and magnesium in it. Like my Nelson Plant Food organic stuff has calcium, magnesium in it. It's going to solve a lot of those problems. But if you absolutely have to add calcium, they make water soluble calcium like granular. Like even the oyster shell, it doesn't break down like the egg shell or anything like that.
I would just use a tomato tone or something like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like use a premix, something that's already ready to be used because it's more bioavailable for your plant.
Blossom end rot is almost never a calcium issue.
Right.
It's inconsistent watering.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Just like
A lot of
catfacing
tomato issues.
and
A lot of
splitting.
tomato issues are inconsistent watering. You
And
get your plants used to being watered
Yeah.
every other day,
Yeah.
and you skip, or you don't water, or they get way too much water all of a sudden when you haven't been watering them consistently enough. It'll cause problems. Like,
Yeah, trying to like Tums or whatever people use, like all that stuff. None
Yeah.
of that's gonna help you.
That's
It's
not
just
gonna
you
help
got to
you.
get on a good watering schedule.
My
I've
favorite
seen
is putting
coffee
milk in the
creamer,
garden.
Oh yeah, that's
powdered milk.
disgusting.
I did a
Do
couple
not
of
do
that.
videos. So I did a couple of videos on that when I don't do these types of videos anymore, by the way. I did one where it was like, so my idea when I first started making videos for like YouTube and TikTok was like, how can I not throw stuff in the landfill or pour stuff down the drain? And I was like, what is a use for milk that I could use in the garden? And I looked up and it said some old wives' tales about, you dilute it like 50-50 water, milk, and you could spray it like on your squash or your tomatoes, and it would be like antifungal. And from what Kevin said at the plant clinic, he was saying that it does have some antifungal properties, but it's not going to like solve your calcium deficiencies or anything like that.
I'm
But
sure it smells great in the Texas heat.
Smells terrible.
Yeah.
It smells
That's
terrible
the
though.
thing. And then what does that do? Attracts pests.
Yep.
Oh,
And that
You
would
don't want
explain
those.
I had all them possums in my backyard.
I
been
love
probably-
possums.
It's been probably
I love
4 years since I've done it, but I definitely did I did 2 videos on that. I did 2 videos on that.
oh man,
one that lives
possums
under
are
my
something else.
shed. I
Don't-
love them.
Don't go
We
back
had one,
watch
and then
my
it got
old videos.
smoked by a car. Bad.
Oh no.
You know, somebody
Yeah.
I saw a stat that said that in the wild, the possums only live like a year. Like they don't like because of
Well, in
What?
captivity, they'll live like a year,
is that what it is?
but they do have short lifespans.
Yeah, they don't
But
live
yeah.
as long as you think.
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
but if you because people see like people have them as pets, but it cuts their lifespan way down in captivity.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, a large part of their diet is grubs and bugs and also whatever they can scrounge around.
Trashed.
But yeah,
Pigs.
trash. But do you know one thing about possums, is that if you ever see one that's dragging its legs and it's a young one, it's because it's probably not getting enough nutrients that it needs. And people often will leave like dog food out for them, and dog food is not a complete nutrition for possums.
Oh.
So
You shouldn't
Very
be,
acute piece of knowledge, but
you shouldn't
good
be
to
feeding
know.
wild animals regardless. You
I
shouldn't
don't know
be
what
feeding
you're
wild
talking
animals
about. I literally
regardless.
have no idea what you mean.
We have a
But no,
giant
you
possum
shouldn't.
in our neighborhood, and it's
you
because it
should
eats
not
cat
feed-
food off the neighbor's porch.
Don't feed squirrels. Don't feed possums. Don't do that.
Oh, Jeremy, have you
Raccoons
not seen the
definitely
video? Jeremy, have you not seen the video of her getting bit by a squirrel?
Oh, are you?
That was her.
Did you
It was.
reposted it? You
It was
posted
inspiring to go try to do it myself.
I think
You
you
know what?
posted it with a clip from the podcast.
Yes.
Last time
Again,
you I saw it.
Do not,
But you are
unless
lucky
you have,
did not get rabies.
no, unless you have a wildlife certification or you have rehabbed animals before, do not do that. I've only ever been bitten by a squirrel that I was literally rescuing that was injured. So just be
Yeah.
careful and be smart. You know what I mean? Call the wildlife professional. Don't pick the dang thing up. Don't be dumb like me. Do not do that.
And the problem with feeding any kind of wildlife on a regular basis is they start accustoming people with food.
Yeah,
And so
and
like
that is dangerous for them.
Yep. So you got bird. That goes for everything: birds, chipmunks, squirrels, bears, mountain
Yes.
lions. Don't do any of
Yes,
that.
don't do it.
Follow nature's metal, and you'll see why you shouldn't be doing that.
I luckily don't have any wildlife issues in my garden except for birds.
Yeah, I got the mockingbird, man.
You know what? Honestly,
Starlings, man. Starlings
really?
are an absolute menace.
And those are invasive, right?
I love them.
yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
are
a-
invasive. The
but,
European
like,
starling or whatever.
When I put out all my small plants in the spring, I have to get these big plastic water jugs and cover every single one of them.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I'll go to work and come back and there'll just be a stick there through the whole garden. They'll
Yeah.
pick the leaves off of every one of them.
Everything.
And they'll just
Oh,
leave
yeah.
them there. Like there's no
Ah,
reason for it. No reason
savage.
for it.
That's the worst.
cold-blooded.
I hate them so
Yeah.
bad.
That's terrible.
It's mockingbirds for me.
But once the plants get a certain height, they're good to go. But you got to have eyes on them constantly in the
Yeah.
spring, or the garden's done.
Squirrels are my
Just
nemesis.
startling.
Just the squirrels are
You
bad.
got-
And then moving south, the bug level went to like 11. Like I was in like
You know what?
in Northeast, and then it came down here, and the bugs were like, "Guess what?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, we're boss now." And I'm like, "No!" And I lost all my greens that didn't end. And I was like, and I give up, and that's when I just plant the okra tomatoes for the summer because the greens just get annihilated.
Oh yeah.
You know
yeah.
what? You need to start feeding and watering your squirrels. What did I say?
Feeding
did
and
I
watering the
say?
squirrels.
Feed them in the
Yeah.
front yard. Feed them in the front.
Yeah.
And
Put food
so-
and water in the front.
So I feed
Put
my
a bird
I-
bath for
yeah.
water.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feed my birds and I have a bird bath in the front. And honestly, most of the time they stay out
I
of my
feed and
backyard.
water them in the backyard, and it's fine. Like
Yeah.
they dig up a plant, I just replant the plant. It's a game we play. It's fine.
I like that. I
We
like
don't
to
have
eat my-
squirrels here.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
have any
that's good.
squirrels yet.
You don't?
If I did have squirrels, I wouldn't have them for
I
very
have
long.
so many questions.
We don't have the food source that they're looking for here.
It would have to be solely
They're-
your garden.
They're in the area. Like when you go more towards the country a little bit, you'll find squirrels. But here,
And then-
where I'm at in town, there's none.
We have these things called fox squirrels, and they're
They're
like,
so cute with the ears.
and they have like a white nose, and they're all black. You guys go look them up. They look like kind of like a skunk, but they're not. They're a big giant squirrel.
Are they arboreal or ground squirrels?
I don't know. I've only seen them on the ground, so maybe they're ground, but they're big.
If they didn't have fluffy tails, they'd just be tree rats. Okay, they're just rats. They're just
Excuse
rats.
me.
They're just
No.
rats. That's all
No,
they are.
no, no,
Oh my
no.
goodness.
They are responsible for reforestation everywhere.
It's kind of true. Yeah.
Squirrels deserve mad respect.
Hey,
They're
and-
really dumb.
In my
They
in
forget
my
where they plant their nuts.
in my subdivision, I'm responsible for reforestation. Okay, got like 50 fig trees in my backyard.
Are you
Aren't those
planting them in other
Destin?
people's
Aren't figs invasive?
Figs are invasive.
Yeah.
So are tomatoes, corn, soy, rice.
Not corn, man. Corn is
No.
a new world plant.
It's
Like
a GMO
tomato.
though, right? It's not the real corn we used to have before, like originally, right?
Maize?
It's been selectively
Hybrid,
bred,
hybridized.
Yeah, hybridized.
Selected breeding.
Yeah,
GMO doesn't always mean bad. Oh shoot, I
that's
said
true.
it.
That's okay.
Well,
I said it out loud.
We talked about that last episode with Purple Galaxy and also the glow in the
commercial
dark.
farming
Yeah.
corn, commercially farmed corn is going to be genetically modified,
Yes.
Mhm.
but nothing you
Monsanto
can grow at
corn.
home. Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that's just for disease resistance and guarantee of crop and things like that. And corn is in
Profits.
everything. Well, corn is in everything.
Yes, it is. So is soy. A lot of things. There's a lot of things and a lot of things.
There's a
Oh.
lot of things and a lot of things.
A lot of things. Oh my goodness.
Man, that's deep.
Are we gonna go full meta? I was like, we're all connected.
Oh my
It's all
goodness.
We're
carbon.
all connected. It's the copper and the crystals.
Oh my God. On that note, thank y'all so much for being here with me tonight. Real quick, Des, what do you got coming up? Where can everybody find you?
Gardening with Des on all platforms, and coming up, I'm just going to be talking about more pollinator things. Definitely more butterflies. I've got something coming up about the variegated Gulf fritillary butterfly. I'm excited to share. I've been taking footage
Whoa.
for like a week now, so
Nice. Follow Des for hippie content. No,
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
no, I will definitely take
I
that.
love your hippie content. I love your hippie content.
Hey,
It's
thanks.
so much fun.
Oh, thanks.
In another life, I could have been a hippie too.
It's not too late, man.
It's too late.
Never too
It's
late.
way too late. It's way too late.
Not too late, man.
It's not too late, man.
No, dude.
Here, try this hummus. No, I'm kidding. I hate hummus, so
Hummus
much.
is delicious.
Oh, I hate
Hummus
it.
is-
You
I
don't
was
even know
crushing
what's
hummus.
right.
Oh,
Oh, I love hummus.
oh, it's too gritty. It's nasty. Oh,
It's gritty.
it's gritty.
You've been getting the wrong hummus,
I
man.
probably have.
What kind of hummus was that?
They sell it at
Yeah.
Buc-ee's. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, is that Buc-ee's?
They probably do sell it at Buc-ee's, honestly. They probably do.
It's
I don't
know
probably
what Buc-ee's
pecan
is, but-
hummus or something.
Oh, you're going to find out in October. We'll talk about that here in a second. Mr. Jeremy,
Oh.
where can everybody find you, dude?
30 Fun Gardening. I'm on all the major social medias.
Any minor ones?
Any minor?
We were-
Are there minor ones?
You got merch coming out soon. You got merch right now.
I do. I always got merch.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of stuff. Link trees in the bio if anybody wants
Check it
to
out.
check that out.
Oh,
Garden
yeah,
beer.
One of my
koozie.
koozies.
I love
Is that a
that
garden
tomato,
beer?
dude. Yes.
That's
Show
a
me.
Oh,
garden
I
beer
need that
koozie.
Attack of the
koozie.
killer tomatoes.
Yeah, Jeremy's got
Okay,
a.
I need to go shop Jeremy's
How
content.
rad is that, dude?
Yeah, he's got a screen printing company, so he does all his own merch.
I do all my own designs
Amazing.
and all my own printing and designs.
That's so awesome.
That's a heck.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. I love getting you on anytime we can.
Always happy to be here.
Appreciate
Not
it,
me,
brother.
though. I'm just going to talk about squirrels.
Shut up. Mr. Phil, where can everybody find you, dude?
You guys can find me at all the social medias, except for TikTok. I'm not on that one. But at Phil's Figs, at philsfigs.com. And I have a few events here in Wilmington where I'll be selling my fig trees over at Casablanca Coffee Shop this weekend. We're having a spring fling. We have our Earth Day event next week over at the Eagles there. And then hopefully I'll have my own trees online by the end of the month. I'm trying to coax them into growing as fast as possible. So that's my big goal. Grow.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Awesome. Awesome as always, my co-host, Mr. Phil. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. And I am Destin, Noak, Texas Garden Guy. I'm wearing this stupid hat still. You can find me at Texas Garden Guy everywhere you find Texas Garden Guys. This podcast is live every Thursday evening. We will have a Figtoberfest, October 5th, here in the Houston area. I'm flying Phil in. We're bringing the Fig Daddy to Houston,
Flying
Texas.
down
He's
to
coming down.
Tejas.
He's coming down, and so if y'all want to experience some figosity from Mr. Phil, go ahead and sign up.
I
for
will
the
be
event.
your configliere, and
And he
And
will
I'll-
help you figure out where to put
and
it.
we'll figure it out. I have a PowerPoint slideshow to get you guys all excited while we try it. Hopefully, we'll have figs
Yes.
to eat at that time.
Yes.
But if not, my PowerPoint will have some fun pictures in it.
Yes, I'm talking to Fig Brew to hopefully get coffee figgy. I like their stuff. Hopefully we'll have fig coffee to serve. It's a free event. We're doing it with Texas A&M AgriLife. So we're gonna have a lot of cool speakers that are not just internet personalities like me and Phil. We actually have smart people like horticulture people. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like people who do this kind of stuff for a living. You know, we're garden enthusiasts. They're garden professionals. You know,
Right, that's true.
to a certain extent.
I don't know. Des is a master gardener.
She is a master.
She's a
gardener.
master gardener. She's got to come now. Des, come on.
Yeah,
I'll
Zip
try.
on up.
It's 2 hours away, but
It's so far.
it's so far. I'll try.
That's a Texas commute right there. That's a Texas
It
commute.
is, honestly. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
from South Austin to North Austin.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you all so much for coming on.